Insiders fighting for insiders. America first. Love the flow. 69.
Hey man, this is a great barbecue.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's the perfect yard for this too.
It's such a great house, man.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Check on.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
But that's not how it actually went down. No, Nick never got to deep fry that turkey for his holiday barbecue because Nick never bought that dream home with that big, beautiful yard. You see, Nick didn't think he could qualify for a home loan. He just assumed that his credit would be too low and his debt would be too high. If he just called the experts at American Financing, they could have helped him overcome those doubts and misconceptions. But he never called. Here's how it actually went down. Call American Financing. American Financing is helping homeowners save an average of $800 a month. And there are no upfront fees to say how much you can save. And if you sign up today, you may even delay 2 mortgage payments. Call 1-800-974-6500 today. Or go to AmericanFinancing.net/Crowder.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
Today, we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another. We are transferring power from Washington, D.C. and giving it back to you, the people.
Xiaohangshu. We've been practicing that around the studio all day.
We have.
Xiaohangshu.
Xiaohangmi? No, Xiaohangshu.
Xiaohangshu. Xiaohangmi too. So, a lot to get to here today. You know, Biden's farewell speech was yesterday. Former Vice President, soon to be former Vice President Biden, respect the office. It's about what you would expect. And of course, if you go on the leftist message boards, you see them really pointing out the idea of an oligarchy, failing to understand that's what we've lived under for 4 years. So we'll get into that. And also the value of posturing here today. We were talking about, obviously, the Gaza, Israel ceasefire. Hamas, I should say, ceasefire. It's already starting to disintegrate a little bit because it turns out Hamas are not necessarily super honest.
Not great at keeping deals.
But there still is value of, you see it with the president of Mexico. You see it with China. A lot of people will say Donald Trump is being so extreme in his, these aren't policies yet. Red die 40. We'll get into that.
Number 4.
There are threats. The mere threat, if people believe that you will follow through, here's the beauty. You can say a lot of things about Donald Trump. He doesn't get to 3 without consequences. And even if you think that he does, guess what? Russia, China, Mexico, Hamas, they're afraid of Donald Trump counting to 3. Do you understand? That changes the landscape. Also, TikTok is out, banned. We've talked about that. I think it's a perfect example of where libertarian conservatism has failed because people think it's a free market when you're dealing with the Communist Chinese Party.
Right.
What is now in, and many influencers are migrating, is Xiaohangshu, which is quite literally even more communist.
It's the most.
The name
communist.
is literally a communist name. So
Also, a sneeze.
yes.
God bless you.
Also, they really like girls in small Xiaohang shoes. They like the.
Oh my gosh!
Well, I don't know when that became attractive.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Foot
size
binding?
4? Yeah. Yeah.
No.
You're size 3? Oh.
Mo better.
Don't threaten me with good time.
I
So
used to work at this Yahoo shoe factory
yes, they do.
when I was 12.
Yeah, 19 hours a day.
That was hard.
It was very.
Made me a man.
So at some point, as we discuss China, because I hate China, not a race thing. I hate the country. You'll likely see this. Head on over to Rumble. It's a live show weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern. We will be live tomorrow. Of course, Friday for those who are members of Rumble Premium every day of the week. I don't know why we call it a weekday. I mean, they're still all days of the week, but it's a weekday. And next Monday, inauguration, special live stream. More to come. Question, how long do you think the Gaza ceasefire will... Oh, it's done.
There's already news this morning.
And what's your favorite win thus far? Is it the red dye? Is it the president of Mexico saying, like, all right, we're going to reduce Chinese imports? Is it China deciding to play ball a little bit? What do you think is the biggest win in the pre-presidency? We need to actually include that now. There never used to be a pre-presidency, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Daddy's coming home.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Thank you very much.
Why is that bad?
Captain Morgan, CEO, how are you, sir?
I think I'm doing okay. I'm a little confused as to what I just said because it gets used against me.
I'll explain it to you later.
Thank you. I'm doing
very
well. How are
publicly.
you?
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah?
I had a weird dream, but I'll explain it. But I did come up with a new idea for a belt buckle.
I don't think it'll work.
You know, this it will work.
It won't work.
It absolutely will work.
No.
We'll talk about it on Chat
We're
Thursday.
getting pantsed everywhere now.
And when you hear this, you know him, you love him. Friday, Saturday, February 7th and 8th at the Spokane Comedy Club. Lovely club. It's Mr. Travis Kelsey. How are you, sir?
I don't see it, but
I
I'm
absolutely
good.
see it.
I'm excited about the red dye ban. You know,
Yes.
I'm worried how they're going to make my Frankenberry cereal, but I have faith.
Aptly named.
Yes.
Frankenberries.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Code red is code slightly pink now.
Yeah. It's
Code Pink's a different thing, Drew.
Look, this is one of those things. We'll get to. It's a liability thing. You know, they're going, oh my gosh, if RFK gets access to all of this information and everyone knows that we've been lying to them, it's going to go badly. Let's do this on the way out, so at least he can't claim that one. It's a transition. You know, there might be a case of senioritis going on here at the White House. Former Vice President Biden, he gave this farewell speech, and of course, it was dishonest. I've always maintained that he's not a good man. People say, oh, at least I disagree with him, but he's a nice guy. No, he's not. Garbage would be generous. Before we get into the speech, here's kind of the gist for those who missed it.
My fellow Americans, I'm speaking to you tonight from the Oval Office. This will be my final address to you from the American people from the Oval Office, from this desk as president. Upstairs in the residence of the White House, I've walked by a painting of the Statue of Liberty I don't know how many times. The Statue of Liberty.
He doesn't know.
The Statue of Liberty is not standing still.
Huh?
Her foot literally steps forward atop a broken chain of human bondage, and she literally moves. Institutions that are rooted, they just might not reflect the timeless words, but they echo. Like a kid with a stutter from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claremont, Delaware, sitting behind this desk in the Oval Office. My
You
deepest
developed a stutter when you were
appreciation
70.
Our amazing First Lady was with me in the Oval today.
And it caused you to lie.
You're the love of my life and the life of my love.
How?
Now it's your turn to stand guard. May you all be the keeper of the flame. May you keep the faith. I love America.
He's just doing
You
Billy
love
Joel
it too.
lyrics.
God bless you all. May God protect our troops. Thank you for this great honor.
And what else? That's it.
I
Why she
didn't
still-
realize he's literally just doing Billy Joel lyrics. That's why you're keeping the faith. Inflation. Is that all you got for money?
Modest beginnings.
Hey.
Uptown girl.
I'm moving out. I'm moving out. The theme of the speech, by the way, really seemed to be, you notice, Statue of Liberty was centered around that, which, by the way, makes sense, happens to be the theme of the cosplay night at the Biden boudoir, which, that is. Also, want to correct.
I'm just glad he's finally with a woman, you know?
Yes. Well, at least he's watching.
There you go.
I hate to be a stickler here, but the Statue of Liberty cannot literally move.
That's true.
It may be able to figuratively move. If it did literally move, look like this.
How did he get up there? He's so lost. He's like, where?
That's Operation Dumbo Drop.
Operation Dumbass Drop.
Yes. Hey, come on.
I stutter.
Hey,
What is that, a joke?
hey. It's still rock and rolling me.
Oh, jeez. Back to that.
What's the matter with the tie I'm wearing? It's not too wide. You're too wide. I remember. I walk through Bedford-Stuyvesant alone. What?
It was when I wore a younger man's clothes.
I was sleeping with the television on. Oh, jeez. All right.
Why does the microphone smell like beer?
I don't know, but they say only the good die young.
That's why he's so old.
I'm still here.
Keep waiting on my turn.
All right. There was a lot that was spoken in this farewell speech. So this is the last time we'll be able to do it. It's time for some claim truth. All right, again, just on the theme that former Vice President Biden is not a good man, has never been a good man, and he didn't have a stutter until he was 70 years old. His claim was that he has been president for all Americans.
In the past 4 years, our democracy has held strong. And every day I've kept my commitment to be president for all Americans.
Bullshit.
It's fair. Yeah, that is fair.
That's
Here's the truth. No.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. This MAGA threat is a threat to the brick and mortar of our democratic institutions. But it's also a threat to the character of our nation. That gives our Constitution life. And yet Trump and his MAGA supporters not only embrace political violence, but they laugh about it.
You called your opponent an existential threat. On a call a week ago, you said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye.
I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. We got to lock him up.
I made it worse. I didn't say crosshair. I mean bullseye. Lots of people can try to get him.
Sure, that
He
means
was just accused of saying that?
Yes. Sure, that means the same thing. Oh, you may be right. I may be crazy. But
I hate this.
no, but it's just maybe you're looking for. That's not what we're looking for from Vice President Biden. Turn off the lights. Don't try to save me. Let's go to the next claim.
I've been doing this for the longest time.
For the longest time. It's something he would do. It's not that far off.
Just start reading a script. Yeah.
It's like how the funeral at Carter had like that speech from Meet the Parents.
All right, sorry. Okay, we have to. By the way, Tim Kaine always looks drunk. Lady Lane always looks drunk. Full screen on CNN.
Too, a little bit.
He always looks drunk.
Too much.
Hey, he's flushed in the cheeks there.
It is.
Push us into needless military expenditures and even hostilities that we shouldn't be in.
Sorry.
Come on, Virginia, do better.
We'll reset this again with the, let's bring the claim back up. The claim from former Vice President Biden. And this is important because I don't want you to allow anyone to venerate him as, gee, he was a decent guy. We just went through that with Carter. Carter was not a good man. He was not a good man. He was not a well-intentioned man. That is false. He was a bad person. He was a bad president. And his post-presidency was even worse. I don't say this to cheap shot. We've been making these shots while he's in office the entire time. Figuratively, I meant bullseye, not target. Don't allow people to say that he was a good guy who we disagreed with. Nope. No, he was not. Because his claim here is fundamentally dishonest on every level, that he created 17 million jobs for Americans.
At home, we've created nearly 17 million new jobs, more than any other single administration, a single term. Millions of entrepreneurs and companies creating new businesses and industries, hiring American workers, using American products.
Okay, so here's the truth. You know well enough that most of the jobs that would be considered part of the economic growth were returning jobs from COVID. Okay, that was 9.4 million jobs. But here's the more important truth. 25% of the jobs under the Biden administration were government jobs. Okay, so that's just taking your tax dollars to give it to someone who may or may not have rightfully earned it. And then we said employing Americans. Here's the really disturbing truth. Native-born Americans had zero job growth. None. No new jobs. Foreign workers, over 6 million new jobs under the Biden administration.
Jeez. That makes sense.
Want to go back to that H-1B talk, to be clear? So that's the part that is dishonest. He says, okay, we'll give it to you. They returned from COVID that you guys helped orchestrate and kneecap Donald Trump. He's going to come back as 47, so you have to deal with that. But for Americans, we employed Americans. There is no way that anyone in his entire administration can justify that. Reference is available, as every show. Link in the description. Here's another claim that former Vice President Biden made, that you need to be afraid. Right? I don't know what happened to unity, but an unchecked oligarchy is going to usher in a new era of, and this is a term they really like to use, misinformation.
Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy.
Listen to the slur here.
Our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead. Americans are being buried under an avalanche of misinformation and disinformation, enabling the abuse of power. The free press is crumbling. Editors are disappearing.
What?
Social media is giving up on fact-checking. The truth is smothered by lies told for power and for profit.
Okay, before I get to the truth, I can prove this in real time. Can you rewind it right to where he says, we really were trying, was he saying pillars? Was he saying editors? Was he saying Elmers? Was he talking about glue?
I think it's errors.
Let's see what he says.
The free press is crumbling. Editors are disappearing.
Editors?
I think
he's saying editors. Okay.
Elders.
And his entire speech was riddled with this, by the way. Okay, when you say misinformation, do you mean like the press carrying your water, saying that you were mentally fit for the job? Because we just saw that you weren't. And we saw it in the debate. That debate will go down as historic because it will be the moment that Americans realize they were completely lied to. Everyone, a chorus, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, take your pick. Everyone outside of half of Fox News said, oh, come on, this guy is fit. That's an unfounded attack that he's unfit. That's ageism. And then everyone watched the debate and said, oh my God, this man's not in charge of anything. But here's some more truths for those of you who don't know when he talks about misinformation. The truth, we just had this for the last 4 years. You have big tech censorship, especially, by the way, on the topics that were at Biden's behest, like the story of his son, right? The Hunter Biden laptop was something that the Democrat Party wanted to suppress. I understand that was during an election.
It was made up, and then he was, excused for it.
Yep. Then you had COVID, right? The 2020 election. Anything even critical of the vaccine, or even pointing out that there could be side effects. In other words, even pointing out the degree of side effects with the mRNA injection that might be comparable to other side effects of drugs. And the media lied simultaneously. They lied about Trump. They lied about January 6th. A lot of you believe that. We lost viewers because we said it's not what you think it is. Now people know that. They hid the mental decline that we talked about. Hunter Biden. I mean, this is the guy, by the way, when he talks about an oligarchy, do you mean like weaponizing the DOJ? Do you mean pardoning and protecting corrupt politicians or family members? Do you mean politicizing coverage of every single political event, whether it's for gun control, abortion, falsely claiming that women are dying because they can't get abortions? Let's just be really clear about this. On the way out, he lied. He lied his entire time in office. Barack Obama was worse as far as weaponizing our agencies, our institutions. That's why he talks so much about the institutions. You got to trust. He doesn't talk about our values, the Constitution, the American people. He always mentions the institutions first if you watch his speech. The institutions are so important. Oh, you mean government control.
But let me clarify. So he said we've given up on fact checking. No. We gave up on the fact checkers. That was the problem. We still want fact checking. We're just doing it through community notes instead of having a pre-selected list of people that are going to lie to us every single time and tell us that you're mentally fit, like you've listed out these examples. That's the kind of stuff that they fact checked.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, for the party that's against oligarchies and is for the people, the Democratic Party, the Democratic Party, they're certainly against crowdsourcing information and fact-checking.
Well, they're the elites. They're the only ones that can be the gatekeepers. And by the way, they're just mad we got us a billionaire. They had George Soros.
Yeah.
We went out.
We got a Medal of Freedom.
And by the way, did you see that Nina Jankowicz, the one who headed up the Department of Misinformation, I believe it was, lasted 1 month. Now she's the head of some nonprofit, and she's furious about Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, I wonder why.
Saying that it's a travesty. It's a crime against democracy. So, again, the mask comes off. This was the person we were told would be unbiased, just like former Vice President Biden was mentally fit. By the way, we mentioned this early on the show, American financing. If you guys are actually looking at a home loan or you just want to get a better rate, no upfront fees, you can close in 10 days, you can save up to $800 a month. Call 1-800-974-6500 or go to americanfinancing.net/Crowder. I can't recommend them enough. Yeah.
Don't forget the number.
Say it.
NMLS 182334.
I don't know why I have to say it. I don't like saying it, but that means that I'm legally cleared.
334.
Let's
Are you
go.
speaking binary?
I don't know what any of this means. And by the way,
I've got an admonishment for both of us in my back pocket. I'm just waiting on it.
What is it?
No, I'm not going to tell you when we get there. We'll both.
I mean,
get
I could
admonished.
just admonish Gerald for
Yeah,
fun.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
No,
Let's
you can-
admonish
Yeah,
Gerald.
admonish him for the
withholding
mystery.
information.
Yeah, don't threaten me with a good time tool, man.
For the mystique.
Hit it.
severely admonished.
Yes.
You deserve it.
No. I said I had the admonishment for both of us.
Yeah, but
because we both got something wrong.
What do we
You
get
just
wrong?
got
I'm not going to tell you
admonished,
until we get there.
You took it for the both of you.
It'll be when we get to RFK.
What did we get wrong? You
said-
mean we got? You mean are you minority reporting?
You said
Admonishing
red
me?
dye number 40.
No, sorry, red
and
dye
I-
3.
And I said 4.
It's red dye 3.
And it's 3.
Did I
We
say in
both-
the intro red dye 40?
You said 40.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I said
red
4
dye 3.
to correct you, and I was wrong.
Are they the same thing, red dye 40 and red dye 3?
I'd like to red dye
Or is
right
it
now.
blue 40? Forgive me.
Those are
play
the
the
same
game?
numbers, yes.
Forgive me. Hey, come on. It's not like I said dinosaurs aren't real.
Yeah, well, I understand. Wow. We really screwed that up.
There's a
Well,
guy.
Gerald said the Earth is flat.
I remember he said that yesterday.
if the Earth was a globe,
Yeah.
then if it's spinning, then if I go up in a helicopter, why do I land in the same place? I'm like, Gerald, you're not going to understand
I
this answer.
swear to you, if you post something on X saying, I knew you were one of us, I will blast your account.
And by Monday, the inauguration, I believe I have some surprise guests. We'll be interacting with you, doing a special long live stream here. I believe it starts at 10:30 Eastern. Right? 10:30 Eastern, if I'm not mistaken.
Sipping water.
And if you want to stay in touch, best thing is download the Rumble app if you're subscribed.
Yeah.
Just subscribe, and you'll only get notifications for the live stream. So download that Rumble app. That's the best
Do
thing
it.
you can do. Hit it, tool man. I'll admonish you.
I was going to put this. It's
11:30.
30 Eastern.
Oh, okay. So
We need more
10:30 Central,
admonishments.
sorry.
Jeez.
Jeez, man.
How many do
You're
we have?
addicted.
He's doing this on purpose.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, now I'll do this.
Yeah, download that Rumble app. Oh my gosh!
Thanks, Tim.
It's a Pavlovian response because when I hear that downbeat, I was anticipating an admonish, and it moved.
Oh, did it? Up or down?
Did it
Oh,
knock off
doesn't
your
matter.
stupid belt
It's
buckle?
50 Shades of Toolman. I'm going to explain that belt buckle dream that I had.
It's not going to work.
It's a new belt buckle, guys. I had a whole dream about it.
No.
I wrote it down and everything.
Well, don't say it on air. Someone's going to take it.
Yeah, someone's going to.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna be totally screwed.
Probably the Chinese.
And then they'll fail at it.
So, let's get to this. There's a real value in posturing. Now, this is something that may be foreign to some of you, not to men. We understand this because we grow up with it, right? If you look even in the animal kingdom, and no, I'm not saying that we are the same as the beasts, but outside of lions, a lot of animals, their fighting is posturing. Like even if you look at the most vicious animals, bears, they don't fight to the death. Once one of them kind of realizes, okay, I'm outmatched, they move on down the trail. That's a lot of things in life, and certainly as it relates to politics. Why do you think that Trudeau was such a joke? So, we see this now because of the ceasefire agreement that seems to be falling apart, right? Donald Trump understands this better than anyone out there. He wrote the book on it. So for those of you who weren't aware, yesterday this ceasefire had been reached. We have a brief kind of video for you, but then I want to get into some of the other wins that have already happened before Donald Trump has taken office. And the why is, okay, he's not in office yet, but the posturing, the positioning, the threat is a very valuable tool, provided your enemies or bad actors believe that you'll follow through. So first, let's start this with Israel and terrorists.
It gives us great pleasure in Qatar, Egypt, and the United States to announce the success of the joint mediation efforts and the fact that the two belligerents in the Gaza Strip have reached a deal on the prisoner and the hostage swap and announce a ceasefire in the hopes of
Makes me want a picnic.
a permanent ceasefire between the two sides, as well as allowing the access of large quantities of relief aid to the Palestinian brothers in the Gaza Strip.
He doesn't like that. What's his name? Herzog?
That's it, Warner.
When I look into the cold, lifeless eyes of Hamas,
Yes, it does.
I do not see a potential friend, but only the lifeless beadiness that is empty and devoid of humanity. Perhaps he can find a friend in nature's bear. So that happened, and then Biden immediately tried to take credit for the ceasefire.
The elements of this deal were what I laid out in detail this past May, which was embraced by countries around the world and endorsed overwhelmingly by the UN Security Council. This is the ceasefire agreement I introduced last spring. Today, Hamas and Israel have agreed to that ceasefire agreement.
Well, none of that is correct, by the way. And I want to ask you if you think Biden or Trump, because the next question comes to him from someone saying, hey, how much credit does Trump have for this? You had something you want to say really quickly.
What changed? You said you introduced it last spring and everybody around the world was happy with it, except for Hamas and Israel. What changed? They came to the table finally. What do you think happened?
Another good hot take from Gerald. So,
well, they had a New Year's resolution, probably. They got to follow through on the resolution.
Less terroristy. I will commit less terrorist act this year.
Yes, that's exactly. I will drink less wine made from Jew blood. So then, of course, the natural follow-up was, hey, do you think that this is you or Trump? And being surprised that the press may actually challenge him, Biden, in refusing to walk away because he can't do it, his ego won't allow it. This was his response.
Thank you.
Folks, credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Just leave.
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you.
Jeez. And by the way, you can't let girls start way too late.
Well, he probably does believe that. Just like Billy Joel's perverted.
So exactly. He said, is that a joke? Once. Then his State Department actually thanked Trump for his role in brokering the deal.
We, of course, thank the Trump team for working with on this ceasefire agreement. We think it's important that they were at the table. And I think it shows that when Americans are willing to work together across partisan lines, as we were willing to do on this occasion, because it's in the national interest of the United States, there's a lot that we can get done.
And then Netanyahu thanked both Trump and Biden, emphasis on the Trump. And then Arab officials told the Times of Israel that Trump's envoy did, quote, more to sway the premier in a single sit-down than outgoing President Joe Biden did all year.
I'll take it from the horse's mouth.
Yes.
That reporter, by the way, when Biden goes, is that a joke? The reporter just said, no joke.
No.
It's not a joke, folks.
It's not a joke.
I mean, it's your last day with him. Might as well burn a bridge.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you trash your locker.
Yes.
Huh? You might be surprised, by the way, that the entire Arab world is actually excited by this. A lot of people don't realize they do want peace and stability to some degree, even if many of them don't like Jews.
Yeah.
They've been pretty happy about it, as seen with the dropping of the latest hot track from Destiny's Child Bride.
Coming home, he ain't even in the White House, but already in the zone. They know the gravy train is about to end. Everybody in the world know we about to be Trump and Trump. Couldn't leave well enough alone. Push it too far, now they're getting overthrown. Can see those knees as they start to bend. You know they try to play it dirty, now they about to be Trump and Trump and.
Unfortunately, all of them were circumcised.
Oh. The girls?
Yeah, not willingly. Jeez. Cultural relatives. This is one of those where people say, like, oh, all cultures are equal. No. I think it's always bad to circumcise women. How about that? I think it's always bad to remove women's genitals so that they may never experience sexual pleasure. Period. I think we're better than them. You can comment. Hey, does that make me Islamophobic? I'm fine with it. Comment below. Are you fine with it? I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah. I think we all are. Hey, why do you think you're better than them? Because they saw off young girls, pardon me, clitori.
I'm not saying I'm great. I'm just saying. I'm better than that.
We've all made some mistakes.
Yeah.
I've never done that. So Trump responded to the deal here on Truth, and we'll get to what the deal looks like and how it's falling apart. And this is my, I guess, first Trump impression of the year.
Yeah.
He said, this epic ceasefire agreement could only have happened as a result of our historic victory in November. And it is historic, folks. Everyone says so, as it signaled to the entire world that my administration would seek peace and negotiate deals to ensure the safety of all Americans and our allies, lots of Jews. I'm thrilled American and Israeli hostages will be returning home to be reunited with their families and loved ones. We've achieved so much without even being in the White House. Just imagine all of the wonderful things that will happen when I return to the White House. And my administration is fully confirmed so that they can secure, oh, here it is, more victories for the United States. I was wondering, there were no caps.
I know, at the end he asked
exclamations.
Like,
Epic was in
into
caps.
Yes. So the deal's not finalized, and that's obviously we didn't think this thing was going to last, but it would have been broken up here into two phases. Okay, phase one, 33 Israeli hostages were going to be exchanged for hundreds of Hamas members in Israeli prisons. And by the way, that would include 2 of the 4 living American hostages. I don't like it. I think all 4. The IDF would agree to stop fighting, specifically move out of the Gazan cities. Then the next phase would be negotiating, I guess, the remainder of the hostages and kind of working that out. It is pretty lopsided as far as agreements go, as far as hostages go.
It is. It's like, I can't remember what the number was, but I saw something over 1,000 hostages being released on, or not hostages, sorry, 1,000 prisoners being released on one side. And there are 3 phases to the deal, and most people don't think that even if it gets going, and Israel, this morning we have information from Israel saying that they're withholding kind of the vote right now because they've already reneged on it, Hamas, that it probably will never see phase 2.
Yeah, I also see the problem with this, and the reason that Israel would have a problem is if they return any of those hostages, that sends the message to Hamas, well, just take more hostages, and then eventually they'll negotiate with
What is it, like 300 to 1?
I mean, the math works out. It's like, well, if they take 100 of us, we take 3 of theirs, and we'll get our 100 back.
Yeah. Yeah, so there are problems with it, but the fact that there are any talks at all, again, that's a change. What changed since the last, how long has this been going? Is it a year and a half now?
October 7th. So yeah, you're looking at a year and 3 months or so.
Okay. So it's very likely going to be falling apart. But again, this does signal a change in tone, and it's not the only one. So I'd like to go through some of the instances that we've seen of posture and wins, because you've been told by the left, you've been gaslit. They go, well, you think just because Donald Trump you think China's going to care if he threatens tariffs? Yes. Yes, I do. You think Mexico is going to care if he? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because he means it. They believe he means it. And we actually have far more leverage. We've been kneecapping ourselves in recent years. So they understand. I mean, look at Japan during World War II. The quote is, I'm afraid we've awakened a sleeping giant.
Yeah.
That's exactly what is happening here. Hey, we're just using the power and the leverage that we have always had, and we're going to stop being fleeced. So let's go through Mexico. The posture, that we saw from Donald Trump. He threatened, of course, this, Mexico, huge tariffs. They didn't stop illegal immigration, drugs primarily, right? That was a big deal. You all know it. He was accused of being racist. The win? Well, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum already increased pressure on these migrant caravans, sent troops to Sinaloa to deal with those cartels, and, by the way, instituted a new economic plan to reduce imports from China because they saw the writing on the wall with that.
Yeah.
So you see those consequences right away. Is it a total fix? No, but what changed? You think Biden deserves credit for this? Another one that is pretty fun, actually. Greenland, okay? The posture.
I love this story.
Donald Trump basically just said, I want to buy it. I know. And think about this. This is the kind of thing where the media, they'd go like, and this is a man who's completely insane, talking about buying Greenland. Okay, here's the win. The leader, I've heard Greenland and Greenland. You can admonish me if I'll get it wrong both ways. Their leader immediately said that they were ready to talk to Trump and improve ties. And they also said that they didn't want to be a part of Denmark. Here's a poll for you. A majority of Greenlanders support independence from Denmark. That's 68%. And then there was another poll. I don't know how reputable this poll is. I wasn't able to look into it. So that first one is an independent poll, to be clear, seems reputable. This new poll from Patriot Polling found that a majority want to join the U.S. 57% approve versus 37% disapprove. But even if that one isn't accurate, they definitely want to divorce from Denmark.
Yeah.
So is it that crazy? At the very least, hey, that's a value to the United States, and you said the man was nuts for even proposing it. Let's look at DEI, okay? The posturing that we saw, Donald Trump made it really clear that he was going to crack down on DEI in his second term.
Yeah.
Full stop. The win, you now see it with huge companies rolling back DEI, including Facebook, right, Zuckerberg, as to whether the transition is genuine. I know you have those questions. McDonald's, Walmart, Ford, even, who did the gay Raptor truck. Remember that abomination?
Yep.
It's better than the Lightning.
Yeah.
Waiting on Doritos.
Yeah, well, that comes up next because red dye.
Jeez.
Red dye, number 3 banned. The posturing, and this one is really clear. The FDA said, oh my gosh, if they find out about this, we are going to be in trouble. Hey, they haven't banned this here in the United States, even though it's banned in the EU, even though it's banned in cosmetics, for decades. For decades. And then someone started speaking out about food additives. And not all food additives are toxic, just to be clear. Yeah. I don't necessarily buy into the natural fallacy. There's some natural chemicals that are bad for you, and there's some man-made chemicals that are good for you. But I think we can all agree that we probably need to have a better idea as to what is going into our food supply, and we're a little more lenient than a lot of other developed countries. But no one was talking about it. None of these chemicals were being banned until what changed the posturing? Oh, that's right. Until Trump tapped RFK Jr. For the HHS secretary role, the only man who was bringing this to the forefront.
You godless son of a bitch! You stop this shit! You godless son of a bitch!
I guess wrong clip, but I can't tell the difference. Here's
I thought that was right.
Here's the right one.
These and red dye also is very bad in Europe. These same companies are producing the same products, but they're using natural coloring. But here they can get away with it. We have about almost 1,000 chemicals that are in our food that are either outright banned in Europe or actively discouraged.
Every time I listen to him.
So the win? Well, the FDA just announced red dye number 3 is banned.
Oh, nice.
Because something cancer or other. Hey! Next, you'll tell me he was right about fluoride.
And hold on, bring that article back up. Here's the really interesting part right here. A synthetic dye that gives food and drinks their bright red cherry color, but has been linked to cancer.
In animals.
When was it linked to cancer? Is this a brand new discovery that you guys came across like 5 days ago? We're like, oh no, red dye number 3, cancer.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. And people will say, well, only linked to cancer in rats. Let me walk you through this, or in animals. I believe it was studies in rats, and I believe it was the 1980s, if I'm not mistaken. Mission Control, you can bring that up. All right. So this is not necessarily like a drug when it's a food additive. Okay, if something promotes cancer, right, in animals, okay, you can't conduct those studies on humans. Why? Because it would be medically unethical to already have evidence that it could possibly exacerbate cancer, then say, let's inject it into people. So you would think that it relates to cancer in a completely unnecessary food additive. Right. If the FDA cares about you, they would err on the side of not giving you something or not allowing something that gave animals cancer. And instead they said, your guess is as good as mine. Leave it in.
Yeah, kids cereal. Let's put it in kids soft drinks.
I just threw out every Pop-Tart in the house.
Good job.
Unrelated?
And the candy canes. Left over from, I was like, there's red dye in there.
Get out.
Every single thing is gone. Some of them have juice though. Was it Annie's gummies? They just natural juice. Gives autism though. So
I stopped letting my son eat the red Play-Doh. It's like no more red.
Yeah, no more red.
No more. Just the blue.
Exactly.
Horrible idea too, Play-Doh. It's like, hey, it looks like a strawberry. It smells like a strawberry, but it'll kill you.
They give you tools to make it into food.
Yeah.
You get like little pasta makers.
It's like flour.
It's
Play-Doh's
encouraging
like
to eat it.
It's salty. Play-Doh.
It's a horrible idea.
You shouldn't, but you can.
Let's look at another one. And again, all references available at louderwithcrowder.com, link in the description. You comment below which one you think is the most satisfying one. I think for a lot of people it's red dye because so many people were accused of being crazy.
The red tide is turning.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The red tide. Well, the red tide it spares no one. Don't bring it up. I still have flashbacks. So the posturing here that we've seen as it relates to resignations, right? Specifically the deep state. So Donald Trump threatened to go after, Pam Bondi was grilled about this as though the deep state should be protected. He said he was going to go after the weaponized deep state.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible.
Okay. Pucker up, Buttercup, because it's time for the win. Well, we've seen resignations. Jack Smith, Chris Wray, really some of the worst ones. Let me ask you this. If you're left or right, do you think the government was better off having Jack Smith and Chris Wray?
No.
If you don't want to say that these are deep state bad leftist actors, do you believe they were impartial? Does anyone believe that? And if you say that you do, I'll call you a liar. Jack Smith gone, Chris Wray gone. And then you heard Schiff saying, "Are you gonna investigate Jack Smith?" to Pam Bondi. They're really, really concerned about Jack Smith. They're gone. By the way, bonus. So's Justin Trudeau. Hey, no more of that.
I'm sure there will be more of that.
There will be more of that. Yeah.
Now that he's not in office, I'm sure he's going to go right back to his minstrel show.
He can't help himself.
Yeah.
No.
He has a compulsion. Let's look at the Alvin Bragg case. We know this one quite well. Thank you, Mug Club Undercover. The posturing, Donald Trump was absolutely, whether you agree with him or not, whether you like him or not, he was the most persecuted political candidate, certainly in modern American history, I think you can argue ever. I mean, you're talking about long-standing norms. When people talk about their institutions, those on the left protecting our institutions, these institutions that exist and how they were used against Donald Trump, they bear no resemblance to the institutions that the FBI or the CIA that you believed existed, for example, in movies like, I don't know, The Fugitive, right, where you thought they were the good guys. So
they're not the good guys.
No, they're not the good guys. The pencil pushers are not the good guys. They're not the same as the guys with guns out there in the field. The posture Donald Trump was facing this in that persecution, also, by the way, shot at, and he never backed down, and he made it really clear that he was going to stand up to the corrupt lawfare.
Thank you very much. I would say, in listening to the charges from the judge, who's, as you know, very conflicted and corrupt, because of the confliction, very, very corrupt. Mother Teresa could not beat these charges.
But I did.
Yes.
He's got away with words.
Mother Teresa's kind of not that great if you think about it. What'd she do? She gave some kids some blankets? I don't know.
Wasn't even a mother. Fake news.
Fake, not a mother.
Lied her whole life.
People, I would never say people. I don't want people going to get mad because I'm Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
So the win on this one, pretty clear. The victory from Donald Trump, and you played a huge role in that because of the Mug Club Undercover, your support, the DOJ story where they were caught, an official spokesperson saying, hey, they're just stacking charge on top of charge on top of charge to try and make anything stick to Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump won, and that forced Judge Merchan's hand to sentence Donald Trump to nothing. I'd call that a win.
So this is the most blatant weaponization of the Department of Justice, or not Department of Justice, sorry, because this was Bragg's office doing this in New York, to try and affect an election. So these charges were so serious that this case had to proceed. He had to be found guilty. And then there had to be a time where sentencing, it could be jail, it could be, a big monetary fine. Oh, wait, then the election happens. And then all of this is like, well, I guess nothing is fine. Yeah. Because if this really was a crime, the judge came to the conclusion that he could sentence him, that he wouldn't be immune from this because he won a presidential election. He would actually have to serve out the term. Maybe it would have to wait until after he was president, whatever. They were debating about that. But then he comes back with zero, not even a fine, not even a slap on the wrist, no probation, nothing.
Nothing.
That was absolute an election interference. And if they don't get to the bottom of this and somebody is held accountable on that, I don't think we're ever going to trust the
legal system. There's a reason. He
again.
said, maybe I'll delay this. Maybe I can sentence him. He did that. Well, the DOJ spokesperson who on a hidden camera, talked about, was asked about Bragg. Because all of this is tied together. Let's be honest. These people get on a phone call. And he said to our undercover journalist, he said, well, did you know who Alvin Bragg was before this story? Now you do.
Yeah.
That helps with fundraising.
A little ambitious.
That helps with selling books. You have to understand that people who are in government, they make their huge bones after government. I mean, they go sit on a board at Pfizer, or they go on a speaking tour where they get paid $200,000 to show up to some wealthy executives or investors.
Or they run for mayor of New York.
Or they run for mayor. That could be.
Or they start a Pilates class.
That's true.
That's the road less taken, Josh, but yeah.
And by the way, this is something that we see. Posturing is very important. And I think the reason that the left tries to downplay it is because of the feminization of politics that they want to see. I mean, you saw it with Hegseth. You saw it even with Bondi, surprisingly, yesterday. They don't like to acknowledge that posturing, that a show of strength is valuable. And it is. And we all know it is. Otherwise, no one would fear Putin. Let's be really clear. There's a value in that. And by the way, this isn't the first time when people just say, oh, this is just a happenstance. I don't know, luck. Really? Did you guys forget his first term? Think about when he threatened Ford if they moved their plant from Kentucky to Mexico. That worked, right? He threatened to withhold funds to countries who didn't help stop the illegal. That worked. He successful. Remember, he said, hey, people need to start paying their fair share in NATO, which people had not done for decades, not even close. I think there were 3 or 4 countries total. And for the first time, all of a sudden, the United States is going to leave, which really NATO is pretty much more money, please, United States. Okay, let's start paying our fair share. Remember when he threatened Mexico and Canada with tariffs if NAFTA was not replaced, and that worked? So it's not like there's no track record here. There's a huge value in posturing. And by the way, it's negotiation. This is the guy who wrote the book. You may not like him, but that's why you're seeing it. Or as Biden says, is that a joke? No, it's not. You're moving out.
That's what my audiences say.
Yes. Let's, we're going to move on now to, make sure. Xiaohongshu, but you wanted to say something.
Yeah, so we've got a brand new shirt here, right? So California Psycho, Gavin Newsom. It's fantastic. Go to crowdershop.com right now to get it. It's actually going to benefit 20% of proceeds will go to directly benefit California fire victims. So make sure that you go and support, get an awesome shirt, and support people who are dealing with those fires. Hopefully, it looks like the weather's calmed down in California, and they're actually going to be able to get these things relatively under control more quickly. So that's great news because people's lives have been destroyed by this stuff.
I hope so. So let's move on here to this story. And you guys can comment below where you line up. You know where we line up on the TikTok ban.
Ban it!
I think the free speech approach to TikTok that you see, and you see a lot of flip-flopping from those on the right. Very oddly, might I add.
Yeah.
It doesn't apply when you're dealing with the Communist Chinese Party. Okay, this is where libertarian conservatism has failed tremendously. Yep, in the United States, I get it. I understand it. But when you're dealing with international corporations who are largely held and controlled by the Communist Chinese Party, no, you're not talking about free speech. That's the issue. It's an actual national security issue for Americans, TikTok. I'm sorry, everything else you say about businesses, about cat video, it doesn't matter. This is not the same as Meta, as YouTube censoring Americans with points of view that they don't like. On TikTok, I have been banned for a very long time. You can't be critical of the Chinese government. You can test it yourself and see what happens. So the ban is going into effect. Now, many of those who have advocated against it have found another home. I know what you're thinking. Okay, this is going to be much more free speech centric.
You would think.
Hopefully, replace the bad with make improvements. And the app is called Xiaohongshu, which actually translates to Little Red Book. I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
It is completely located, headquartered in China, subject to the whims of the CCP, and it meets every single condition that TikTok did as far as being a national security threat. And I am going to lay out the case for you today in no uncertain words that it is significantly worse. Okay? So when you see this out there and you see a lot of people who realize there's a niche market with the free speech thing, and so they like to muddy those waters, what they really mean is just send them some money. This does not apply here. I cannot be more clear. You see some TikTok refugees talking now, well, some of them I believe are already banned, as to how much they love Xiaohongshu.
Most of us from TikTok joined RedNote because, to be honest, it was the funniest form of protest that we could think of in protest of
hilarious. The people over at Redbook at Xiaohongshu are so nice. The way that the people have just opened up the app to us, foreigners and TikTok refugees, and just
they open it to Uyghurs?
Started to show us the ropes.
I've been on RedNote for 10 minutes now. I saw a girl trying to teach us Mandarin, but I do feel like I need to learn some Mandarin because I'm struggling.
I just downloaded RedNote, and all I can say is that Instagram is gonna go out real sad.
And watch this. Like that.
漂亮女孩在哪里?
So I downloaded RedNote, and I am no longer convinced that we are living in a first world country. Seeing the everyday lives of Chinese people, obviously certain Chinese people, I'm not saying everybody's lives.
Yes, I mean, like most Chinese people who have no freedom.
It's insanely eye-opening.
Bet your bottom dollar I went over the RedNote and signed right on up. There is nothing that I hate more than the government trying to tell me what I can and cannot do. Listen, I have a mom and I have a dad. I don't need the government to play that role in my life.
Yeah, no, you don't need the government telling you what to do. You don't need the government controlling your life, like forbidding you to leave your house and welding you in. Or telling you that you can't possess an unapproved Bible or practice whatever religion you want, or that you're allowed to criticize the government or control whether you access the internet or even mention Tibet, Taiwan, or that crappy Brad Pitt movie, or report the news. Great. I'm glad that Xiaohongshu is really nice to you Americans and you see how the Chinese freely live. Good for you. It's like those dumb broads who go to Cancun on vacation and go I love Mexico. I could live here. How about you go 3 miles outside of the resort?
That guy cracked me up at the end. This pawn shop owner or whatever he does. Yeah, I got a mother to fight. Yeah, why you're in your 30s? What do you? Your mom and dad? You live with your mom and dad?
Yeah,
I don't like being told.
And a husband.
I don't like being told what to say because Xi Jinping is aces. I mean, so the app is at number 1 in the App Store. Okay, it's already attracted a bunch of American influencers. Those on the left, those on the right, including those on the right. You have people like Candace Owens. You have people like Nick Fuentes, Jackson Hinkle. What is Xiaohongshu? All right, and if you're a free speech advocate, let me ask you this: do you think that the free speech absolutism position for an American, it needs to include free platform invasion here in the United States from the Communist Chinese Party? In other words, do you believe that a free speech absolutist has to support unfettered access to platforms that are without a doubt used for Chinese propaganda? Comment. I don't. That's why I'm not a libertarian. I believe freedom of speech for Americans, and I certainly don't believe that we should be sending money to or using the services of an app that puts that money directly in the pocket of the Communist Chinese Party. So let me go through some fast facts here so you have some context. The references are available. Fast fact number 1 here. You have a lot of users, and they're referring to this app as RedNote. You'll hear that, RedNote. Okay. In case this hasn't been clear enough, let me tell you something. Xiaohongshu, fun to say, not to be on. It literally translates, and I'm not misusing it like Donald Trump, like Joe Biden, sorry. Donald Trump does it too, let's be honest. Xiaohongshu literally translates to Little Red Book. That is a direct homage to the Little Red Book from Mao.
Whoops. Great Supreme Leader.
That was great, right?
I'm not going to be told what I can and can't do, and that's why I'm thrilled to be on this new app, Mein Kampf.
They got some great swag you can buy.
I tell you, I replaced Pinterest with the Killing Fields.
Where did Mao finish in our dictatov?
He was number 2.
Number 2.
I believe Pol Pot was number 1.
Pol Pot was number 1, yeah.
Key fact number 2. This app, just to be clear, is also, it's not China's TikTok. That's what some people think. It's really kind of a combination of Pinterest and Instagram, which seems like that may not be super relevant or interesting until you understand that that is because TikTok is actually banned in China. Yeah, that's something that a lot of people don't know. Free speech. Oh, okay. Well, not in China. Yeah. Where it's based.
They don't want interaction with foreigners.
And we'll get to that in a second because now you're going to see that with Xiaohongshu. Yeah. Key fact number 3. In case there was any doubt, this app is a direct propaganda arm of the CCP. Let me be really clear about this. So in 2021, CCP stopped Xiaohongshu from listing on the NASDAQ. Okay, the community standards in the app include comply with the Chinese Constitution and laws of regulations, practice the core values of socialism, spread the correct view of history, nation, country, and culture, carry forward the excellent traditional culture of the Chinese nation. TikTok was banned. This was permitted because this is in their community standards. You think that Meta's fact-checking was bad? Look, I hate Snopes. PolitiFact, whichever one does the dumbass Pinocchio thing. It's like, oh, we're a legitimate outlet. Let's use the cartoon. These are the community standards of Xiaohongshu, the Little Red Book. Mao. Let me give you some other examples. They also ban a slew of content there that could be considered derogatory. I know what you're thinking, like actual doxing, threats. No, it's actually up to and including 540-something terms. I believe it's 540-something. You guys can look it up. Terms specifically that could be used for Xi Jinping.
There are that many derogatory terms?
Let me tell you what's banned on this app. I don't need the government telling me what I can and can't do. Well, you're not allowed to refer to Xi Jinping as Winnie the Pooh, the fecal sprayer, urine bottle, virus king, or cherish the foreskin. I didn't even know about that one.
What? Is that another character in the 100-Acre Wood?
It sounds like the new metal lineup at Van's Gay Warp Tour.
I also see naked wide buns in there.
China is home.
Good point.
Fecal sprayer?
Watch, Fred Durst is going to be on there. I guarantee you.
Fecal sprayer, that was my nickname in high school.
Yeah.
Xiaohongshu, or the highway. You're just lazy. I just want to make money.
You have explosive diarrhea one time in public and you're the fecal sprayer.
I can't get over cherish the foreskin.
Cherish the foreskin.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what it means either.
Is that like a foreskin who's a hero named Cherish?
Yeah.
I
have no idea.
It'll be gone too soon.
Yes. Key fact number 4 here. This app, just for those of you who don't know, is just as invasive as TikTok as it relates to your private information. Mm-hmm. I don't understand how you can be against the government here not being transparent about Red Dye 3 and then say, well, free speech, so we're fine with an app that 100% harvests our data to use against us. All of the information stored from this app is stored within the People's Republic of China.
That's worse than TikTok.
Yes.
Because at least we tried to store most of the data here and kind of cordon it off a little bit, but that's so much worse.
Yes. And the privacy consent there, or at least there is no privacy consent.
No.
Okay. The privacy consent is ignored completely when, and let me give you their terms, it's necessary for the performance of statutory duties or obligations, it's necessary to respond to public health emergencies, or it's necessary to the processing personal information within a reasonable scope for news reporting, public opinion supervision, etc., for the public interest. Well, that seems pretty broad.
Public opinion supervision?
Public opinion supervision.
We need supervised over our opinions. Okay.
And remember, China, right, their national intelligence law, it requires that companies cooperate with the CCP. That is what is required for you to do business. And TikTok wasn't allowed there, but this one is. It's scarier. TikTok was bad, and it should be banned. I would have preferred that it be purchased by an American company.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go. Be subject to the laws of the country that, actually has freedom of speech enshrined in its constitution. Do you guys understand this? You can go back about 6 or 7 years when I did a change my mind. America is the greatest country on earth. Change my mind. And even if people wanted to say, healthcare, okay. What about the fact that we're the only country that has the freedom of speech enshrined absolutely into our constitution? They go, well, other countries, really? They try and give you examples like Belgium, Canada, Germany, China, no other country. It's not a thing. Only here. So you need to understand that freedom of speech, when you talk about foreign entities run by a communist dictatorship, they don't have a constitution that includes the freedom of speech. That cannot be reconciled with ours. But in other words, if a communist came in, right? If an actual communist came in and say, hi, I'm communist, and said, I'm going to run this Bennigan's, and I'm going to run it and collect all of your information and report on everything that goes on here back to the Communist Chinese Party in Canada, of course it wouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
It would be like if Eric Swalwell, if the spy said, I'm a spy, we'd be like, oh, well, that's a problem. That's why we found out that it was a problem. For some reason, when it's on a digital screen, we all go, freedom of speech. This is not a freedom of speech issue. It's a communist Trojan horse. Very small horse.
Yeah, by the way, if a communist showed up to run a Bennigan's, he'd also be a time traveler.
Yes, he would.
Because those don't exist anymore.
Oh, you're more of a TGI Friday guy? Xiao Hong Shu. So, key fact.
Sounds like an insult when you say it like that.
Yeah. Key fact.
Xiao Hong Shu's like their shenanigans?
Yeah. Number 5. The Communist Chinese Party is probably going to ban the app too.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because even though they have all these terms of service and banned terms, the Communist Chinese Party, unlike many Americans, not you necessarily watching, but Americans who have no problem with being spied on by the Communist Chinese Party, who have no problem with a foreign nation interfering even in our electoral process through propaganda, which you see in their terms is actually part of the community standards, right, is to allow propaganda and to silence criticism. This app is still a problem for China because they see it as facilitating interaction between China and the West. They don't want that. They don't want the Chinese citizens, unlike those creators who you saw, who are oppressed, whose rights are violated on a regular basis, who are jailed, who are not allowed to practice religion freely. If they see the freedom that Americans have, well, guess what? Everything starts to unravel. You saw that quite a bit with the USSR. They saw some Wrangler jeans and said, I want that. And I'm like, well, it's not going to make you look like Demi Moore, but we understand it.
I don't understand.
So here's actually an expert on China, Rush Doshi, posted this on X, said that Xiao Hongshu, if it survives Beijing, poses all the same problems that TikTok does and probably more to the US. But I think the problems it poses to Beijing right now may be greater since it's almost a tunnel under the firewall to reach PRC citizens directly. And one user out there has already noted that the app is, and this is kind of a technical term, but for those of you who understand it, that they're already geofencing foreign IPs.
RedNote or Xiaohongshu just released an update in the Greater China region with a function to separate out foreign IPs. And there are now talks of moving all foreign IPs to a separate server and having a different IP for those who are in the Greater China area.
By the way, I think that's a good look. It's kind of like a Kurt Cobain meets Memoirs of a Geisha. I like it.
Nice, yeah.
I like it, yeah. The app, by the way, is already recruiting emergency English censors as opposed to the standard English censors.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
You know, I actually got the app.
What?
Really?
Yeah, I didn't want to tell you guys, but yeah, I got the app and I threw up a video. One of my videos went viral.
No way.
Yeah. Tim, do you mind playing it? I gave it to
Seriously?
Tim.
Yeah, sure, I'll play it.
Well, they translated it to Chinese. It's kind of weird, but millions of views. So
millions of views.
Yeah.
But you don't speak Chinese.
No, they translated it.
Are you sure they got the translation? You sure they got the translation right?
I trust my institutions.
Actually, research just sent me a version where they translated the translation.
With the English captions?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Here it is.
为什么社会让人流过马路？因为他看到了一个邪恶的资本家，他的系统让他失望了，颓废和宏伟的承诺。
That's not right.
你靠什么谋生？
I don't think that was right, actually. The last part, yeah, I was trying to go TikTok famous with my.
Where are you from? Seattle? You are gay. Seattle is for gays.
You mean that wasn't your stand-up, Jeff?
You can't.
It's close.
Yeah, they really seem to have a concern. The communists with decadence.
They got the timing off.
Yes.
It's like they would be primarily concerned with like how we describe our desserts.
A decadent dessert.
Chocolate. Decadent fudge.
You eat every day?
Yeah.
Decadent American.
Your weakness make you fat. You're fat from decadence. False promise, decadence. You fat. Enjoy red dye number 3.
Tiramisu sound Chinese.
Yes, sound Chinese.
But not.
Very tasty, but far too decadent. I ate one bite tiramisu, I have gout.
I prefer a carrot cake with no cake.
That's right. Have gout. Look, my finger hurt. Go, ow, finger hurt, gout. Should no longer eat liver and caper and tiramisu. Those of you who understand gout.
Tiramisu.
Uric acid. So,
intolerant.
And by the way, if you are not yet a member, Mug Club is now Rumble Premium. Rumble Premium is Mug Club. You not only, when you join, get this wonderful hand-etched mug that we now have co-promoted with Rumble Premium, you get Rumble Premium with no ads. You get 100% more of this show. You get the Friday show. We'll be streaming tomorrow, of course. You get Nick DiPaolo. You get also a bunch of gamers there, too. Dr. Disrespect, sporting events. The catalog is expanding rapidly. It's the only place that could really become your one-stop shop. If you want to know where to subscribe, where to join. Also, I get it. The app had issues a couple years ago. Download it. Give it a whirl. Try it. You can watch it on your TV. It's seamless. It requires a lot of money for infrastructure like this. And I can tell you firsthand, Chris Pavlovsky at Rumble, the CEO, is a free speech absolutist. Mm-hmm. He is. I mean,
like for real.
For real. Of course, you can't commit crimes on Rumble, to be clear, but he's absolutely a free speech absolutist. Yeah. He has not bent the knee. It's a great place to be, and we're going to continue here today.
And the community standards don't rely on supporting the CCP government.
No socialism?
Yes.
Yeah?
So.
Okay.
Yes. You can refer to me as Cherish the Foreskin.
Or actually fecal spray, because that would be more accurate at times.
Hey, that was personal. That's from you American. No royalty. No royalty.
Winnie the Pooh's a funny one, too.
Yeah.
It was like...
It is pretty funny.
I could see Xi Jinping like trying to turn it around like, oh yeah? I take it as a compliment because I eat so much honey.
I am so sweet.
Yes, I'm so sweet. If I'm a Winnie the Pooh, you're a piglet. Eeyore.
That's what the citizens are. They're all Eeyores over there. Yeah, they're so sad.
Oh, man.
Look, to wrap this up here, and we have been here, I mean, go back to 2008, advocating for freedom of speech. I know, I think you might have to hit the YouTube button. Mm-hmm. And we're the first people to migrate all of you to Rumble, a true free speech platform, because we believe in it. So please understand me when I say there's a big difference between an American company, right, being a freedom of speech platform. That needs to be a requirement. Also a requirement, no intrusion into our country that has freedom of speech enshrined into the Constitution from a communist foreign government. Is that clear enough? Libertarian conservatism, it does not work in this instance. Just like free trade, a great idea if everyone played fairly. It does not work. I get it. You're still holding out that we legalize black tar heroin. Libertarians.
Yeah.
It can't exist when you are talking about a platform run by literal communists. in a communist country with communist moderators and people who run the company, see everyone down, managers, and communist policies as their terms of service. Across the board. And you don't need to take my word for it. You can LeVar Burton this crap. Just read. Read the community service terms. Read them, please, and tell me that I'm wrong. Also, it's kind of frightening to see so many Americans migrating there. John Cena actually took to the app, which wasn't necessarily a surprise, once again to apologize. For those of you who don't remember, he was raked over the coals in China simply for suggesting that Taiwan actually exists. And of course, he's still on his apology tour.
你好，中国，这是赵西娜。我必须说，现在，在速度与激情中，我做很多采访，很多。所以在一个采访，我有一个错误，所有人问我，如果我可以用中文，速度与激情中人给我很多资讯 information。所以很多采访，很多 information，我有一个错误，我必须说